Hey there, and welcome to Your Worth Your Way, the podcast that's all about helping you understand that you are worthy of prioritizing your own joy without feeling selfish or guilty. I'm Debbie Lucas, the Joy Alchemist, and each week I'll be bringing you honest, heartfelt conversations with incredible guests, coaches, thought leaders, and soulful humans who'll share their stories and insights on self-worth, confidence, personal growth, and how to create a life that feels authentically yours. This isn't about quick fixes or cookie cutter advice. It's about real talk, practical takeaways, and plenty of soulful inspiration to help you live life your way. So grab your favorite cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive into today's episode. So today I am joined by the vibrant Michi DeLucien, a thriving mompreneur in her midlife who is passionate about human potential and guiding others on how to discover their truth to live their best life. During her spiritual journey through life's inevitable challenges, she recognized her transformation through energy healing and now devotes her time to sharing this with the world. She became a certified life coach and chakra healer and incorporates this in her coaching with a mission of raising our frequencies to not only better ourselves, but the world as a whole. And today we'll be diving into how everything is energy and how living a life of gratitude and alignment can change your entire life. So welcome, Michi, sorry. It's lovely to have you.
Hi, so thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
So tell us what's lighting you up at the moment.
What's lighting me up at the moment? Right now, just being here and being surrounded by people like you and those who are just looking to make a difference, right? Like in this world and just living life in alignment, like you said, and
Yeah.
walking in high vibration. That's my goal, and that's just lights me up, and that's what helps me to wake up every single day.
Isn't it just amazing though? Like once you realize that you are the agent in your life, that you can, as you say, and we'll get into this, once you shift your energy, once you understand how you can work with your energy, your entire life changes, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And it's available to everyone for everyone to do. And that's a big part of why I do what I do. Yeah, because it doesn't have to be, life doesn't have to be so hard or boring or such a struggle. It's not easy. Yes, it's tough, but that's why, I'm sure you do what you do for that reason. I do what I do. And it's more just wanting to bring joy and peace to people.
Beautiful. I love that. And we'll dive deeper into the energy of everything and how we can use that in a minute. But tell us a little bit about your story and what led to the work that you're doing right now.
Sure. Um, so I grew up basically in Maryland. It's four of us, four siblings. So I grew up in Maryland. My father, military, American, Italian. My mother, Venezuelan. She moved to this country here, met my father. They fell in love and had us four children. And through all of that we've been through, everybody has their stories. And I now, moving fast forward, during my search for peace, personal peace, that's when I had a deep spiritual awakening and realized that everything that I had been through in my life happened for a reason. And it led me to doing what I do now, energy healing. And so pretty much, I'm in my midlife and I dedicate my life now to helping specifically women, midlife professionals, and single parents in their midlife who are feeling stuck, disconnected from their self, and just exhausted, helping them to realign to their true self, release that emotional weight that they may be carrying, and just to reconnect with themselves and basically live in alignment. And I do that through intuitive coaching, energy healing practices, and nature-based practices. So through my life story, I grew up in a loving home. My parents were very loving, huge hearts, but it was very complex emotionally as far as the different things that we've been through. Um, my story specifically coming from my father in the military, from things that he had seen, and not even just because of the military. It's like a brotherhood. You know, I have so much respect for military in general and all that those guys give their life to help the country. But my father also was dealing with his own battles internally, you know, and right now I love this day and age that a lot of us are more open to sharing with the world. It seems like from what I see now that there's a lot more, you know, healing, and people are voicing their healing and personal development going on. As in back in the day, I don't remember at all hearing any of this kind of healing or coaching, or it was kind of back then, to me, what I think is like a shameful. If you were to even go to a therapist, it was like hush, 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 you know? So my parents were dealing with their own things, with their own childhood stories and experiences. So I basically grew up in a home with, you know, four of us siblings, and just witnessing, as much as my parents were loving, there was a lot of absence of showing love and affection because they were battling through their own things. So witnessing, you know, symptoms of PTSD, issues of addiction, and just certain things like that that affects a child when they're growing up. My hardworking mother, both were hard. My father was struggling to keep his job, but you go through seeing a lot of that those emotional issues going on at home. Dealing with my mother, who was trying to also, you know, hold the four kids. One kid is enough. Then when you have four, it's a lot on top of everything else going on. One of my siblings, I believe it's due to the lack of, you know, getting the special attention that he may have needed growing up, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. So it was witnessing those experiences going on throughout middle school, grade school, high school. So going through all of that, you know, you can imagine as a child, just although yes, we had shelter, I was always provided for, there was a lot of emotional imbalance going on within myself and within everybody, but we all just carried on. And you know, I basically lived internally, like more so in survival mode, as far as just saying, okay, this is what's normal, but like let's go. And all of this stress internally then led to many problems that I help women with now, dealing with toxic relationships. You know, I've gone through plenty of those. Feeling of just disconnection, complete disconnection, feeling invisible, just living in survival mode, leading to a lot of physical illnesses or imbalances, from panic attacks. I never knew what I was having until then further research. I'm like, oh, that's what that was. You know, physical issues, skin inflammation, chronic, random skin issues happening. And that's part of what's going on internally. You know, the gut, the internal systems reflects on the outside. So that's a huge tip to let everybody, you know, kind of guide them as well if they're ever going through things. A lot of things that reflect on the outside, it's physical manifestation of something that's going on internally. So basically just leading through a lot of life experiences. And, you know, therefore I, you know, as an adult, I ended up, you know, getting into a toxic relationship, having my two beautiful kids who I ended up divorcing because finally, when I decided I was worth it, I deserve more than this, I did the whole divorce, head of household, managing my children. Then it's that whole cycle. But I ended up repeating the cycle of what I had lived in a certain way, maybe not exact, but in a certain way of just hustle, feeling disconnected, emotionally imbalanced. And until, so that was ongoing until it led me to like a deeper questions, deeper search for what's missing. And that led me to healing internally, more of my awakening. I had ended up finding energy healing by master energy healers. Um, from studying that, I noticed my own healing as far as feeling more connected. Now, finally understanding what it was like to meditate and to pray and to receive answers. And from there, just snowballed into where I am now. And again, it had to take a lot of the issues that I had went through growing up that led me to my spiritual awakening, which once you learn practices and start practicing mindfully and making this a part of your lifestyle, you have much more clear answers as to why you went through everything that you did. And, here I am now after several years of training and with chakra healing. Also, I use that as a part of my coaching to help women and hardworking professionals, because I've been there and I know that it worked for me, and that's why I would like to share it with those on the outside. So here I am today, just living a life of just alignment and encouraging these women to also live like that.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so vulnerable. And I think one of the things that you said when you were speaking there was, we, probably even us growing up until kind of our early midlife, maybe early 20s, late 20s, 30s, when people started talking a bit more about their feelings and their experiences, that was something that was foreign and alien to a
Yes.
lot of us who are now, middle-aged. And I think, once you can realize that your parents did the best they could with what they had at the time,
Mm-hmm.
it makes for a bit of an easing of your experiences of childhood and growing up, because
Absolutely.
we can't, it's that whole bit that you're talking about, like once we realize that everything happens for a reason. And it's that, I always talk about the lessons and the blessings that you bring, and that's why I call myself the alchemist, because it's about alchemizing that into the wisdom that you can then use. And exactly what you and I have done, and many of all my guests have done, really, is taking their own experiences, going on their own healing journey, and then using that to then help other people. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I think,
Yes.
the bit about, being stuck in survival mode, the disconnect, the stuckness, the exhaustion that you described, I think there's so much in it around, we sometimes, a lot of the time, that especially the people that I work with, they don't even know what they want in life. And once we kind of start digging deep down, their nervous system is so wired and so dysregulated that like they like almost physically cannot even think with their mind, what is it that I deeply desire? So we do a lot of nervous system regulation, and that's
Mm.
energy work is one of the tools that you can use to do that. So for the listeners who maybe don't understand exactly what energy healing is and energy work is, could you maybe give us a shorter description as you're able to, because there's a lot in it.
It's a lot. Oh, yes, yes, yes. The simplest way I could say is so everything is energy. And again, it depends on where everybody's at their own stage of life, their own spiritual journeys, whether they believe in something, a higher power or not. The scientific facts is that everything is energy. Things that we're looking at now turned into matter. Money is energy. Everything is energy. And we humans are filled with just cells that are alive and that talk to each other and communicate with each other. It's a miracle that I'm here talking to you. Our systems are so complex but so perfect at the same time. It all works together to form who we are today. And when we come out of the womb, we have just this perfect system just working so naturally, and that's just a miracle in itself. And everything is energy based and soul based. So when it comes to energy healing, just know that our bodies are just full of communicating cells and energy systems. And although we have several chakra systems, we have several different vortex centers, energy centers in our body. When you get deeper into that, that gets a little bit more complicated, with ancient wisdom and ancient medicine. But I like to just keep it simple with the 7 main chakra systems that basically linked to our organs and our nervous systems. So for those that want to know about energy healing, a lot of us relate to just the simple 7 chakra systems that relate to your grounding, your centerness. And I like to share that if we don't get our energy straight, which is why I make it a huge part of my coaching, again, whether you believe in whatever you believe, but this is your overall well-being, your health. So we need to first get your energy as grounded and shaken off as we can, because as you're going through all of your traumas or your experiences, you're internally very unaligned and imbalanced, and that's causing a lot of things to happen in your life. I was the queen of cycle after cycle, pattern after pattern of things going wrong. When you, and I say this with trust me, and because it happened to me, this is why I teach it, is when you get yourself energetically shaken off and more aligned and more centered, your life is going to just start shaking itself and coming into alignment. But you need to work on yourself internally. That's priority. But energy healing is such a wide, you could do Reiki healing. I like to use, depending if people feel comfortable with it, crystal healing, because again, that's energy. That's all earthly elements when you're using natural stones, that it kind of also makes people feel more comfortable when they use that, but energy healing altogether is just a matter of shaking off the stagnant or stuck energy. That may not be a quick fix. You'll need time to work on those specific areas. But the first thing I like to do is just help those to kind of be more aware of your body, because only you will know once you become more alert of your senses on your body, of where kind of feels off, where does it feel tight, where do you feel pain, and you start from there. And I specifically like to start on the bottom chakras, the lower centers, because that's like the engine of a car. If you don't keep your engine of your car running good, it doesn't matter what you fix up here. So don't try to say, oh, I want to hear my higher spirit speak to me. I want to hear. You need to first focus on yourself, your body, get grounded, feel safe in your own body. So there's a lot of work to do with that before you can start awakening and hearing messages perhaps more clearly. My issue was always scatterbrain, all over the place, always on the go, monkey brain. So I used to, in my first start of my journey years ago, I with my master healer, she was a follower of the Tao religion, but wonderful, beautiful lady. And I used to say, well, why can't I hear messages? I was so upset with myself. And she's like, you're trying too much. You need to just trust. And it's a matter of, then I kind of connected the two. It's just being comfortable in your own self, who you are, accepting yourself, working on being quiet, being still, and letting those thoughts pass. Stop focusing on them. Just let them come, let them go. And then things start to quiet down. And once you start learning practices, you can just be so much more self-aware. Your energy is going to start, you'll be able to notice energy. And so I specifically like to use Qigong because it's very soft and you can play with the energy more once and I do a lot of also grounding first in the beginning. So shaking off a lot of the stagnant energy first to then connect and feel. So energy healing can be more so just internally fixing yourself, as far as shaking off what's no longer serves you, what's been sitting there so long, to then become more alive and activated and sensing things around you more, internally and externally.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about energy healing, but the basics is just feeling more grounded and aligned.
Yeah. There's so much that you said there, and this, like you said, there's so many different tools that once we know energy is everything, and I think like the working with the chakras, I've done chakra workshops myself, facilitated them, and like for me, is as you say, starting with that root chakra, because that's where your seat of safety is, and unless you're
Yes.
feeling safe, and that comes back to that nervous system regulation, that's where it starts, because that's like the foundation where you build all your chakras
Yes.
on top of, and if they're misaligned, then if that's shaky, then everything's always going to be wobbly, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. So a lot of people, they want the superpowers first.
Yeah.
We all have our superpowers. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of working the muscle or not. You're not going to have those visions maybe as clear as you want, because you've got to get down there, your groundedness and your safety, your security, self-worth, self-confidence, get all of that together first. And then it's like from there, and I'm still learning, and I'm sure you with your practices, right? I'm sure from even a year ago, you feel much different now since practicing energy healing.
Definitely. And a
Mm-hmm.
while back, you mentioned crystals as well. I went to a crystal workshop, and we did a chakra one, and we kind of placed the crystals on the chakra line, the kind of the meridian lines. And the peace I felt like almost instantly when all the crystals were placed, I was like my mind just went quiet and my body just relaxed. And so it's like so powerful, all these different tools. But one of the other things that's a very quick and easy one, because not everybody has crystals, is like that literally shaking it off. Because
Yes.
there's a person I kind of followed. He's called David Hamilton. He's Scottish. He does a lot around kindness and energy work, and all the kind of things. And he spoke about, like, his dog had an encounter with another dog that was maybe a bit aggressive, and it literally just shook itself off. And
Yep.
I've seen dogs do that, and he's like,
Yep.
that's exactly what they're doing. They're shaking off that negative energy.
Yes.
Right, and they just go off on their day again. And so the bit around, like, I like to do somatic, and we spoke about breathwork earlier before we came on the recording. But like, you don't need words for that, because with the energy, you don't need words if you can understand it, and you can literally use whatever tools are available to you. And sometimes literally just standing and shaking is enough to
Yes.
shift the energy. Like, sometimes if I feel stuck, I just stand and shake. I'll put on a song and I dance if I feel silly,
Yeah.
just standing and shaking, but I'm still
Yes.
moving, and it
And
gets
you
that
can look
energy. Yeah,
silly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No. And those are animals that naturally, you're not talking to them. Anything else but humans, they're communicating through energy, period. The animals in the ocean, and that's what they do. They shake naturally, and that goes to show you, we humans, have the ability to speak.
yeah.
We need to be able to, we are just have been so dumbed down from like media, and just somehow controlled and kept in this box. That's what I feel, that blocking us. Because imagine how powerful we can be if every single one of us on this planet have done the work internally. Imagine how high vibe this whole planet would be right now,
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Oof.
I would feel
Yes.
like one big joy fest, which would be like my dream. But I think
Right.
it is, the bit that you were saying there about, like, words come from our mind, it come from thoughts and thinking. Whereas when we're working with the energy in our bodies, it's about that feeling that you spoke about. It's like just centering yourself and feeling into, like, what is it, because like I now, like, if somebody proposes something to me, whether it's, a night out or a business opportunity or collaboration, my body fizzes. And if my body fizzes, then I'm like, oh, this feels exciting. Or sometimes I can literally kind of feel myself contracting. I'm like, I don't know what it
Yep.
is. I don't know
Yep.
logically what it is, but my body's telling me this is not something not right yet. Either just the energy with the person's misaligned or
Yep.
something. And so I've pretty much lived my life now. Like, even, what do I want to have for breakfast? Do I want to have toast, or do I want to have cereal? Do I want to have tea, or do I want to have a herbal tea? It's like I kind of feel into more like, what am I feeling like? What do I want to do right now? And so, once you start tuning into even just using them in little everyday practices, that's how you start kind of tuning in, isn't it?
Oh, I love that you say that. Yes. And so many people, I would just encourage them to dive into chakra healing, dive into energy healing, because you're able to now follow. That's the key path to living in alignment. That's how your life is going to be much better, when you start listening to your body. So like you said, some people, you're so busy in your mind, or you're so bloated from just not feeling good from treating it with, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's bad foods, but so much of it. I'm okay, if people want to have balance in their life, splurge a little here and there, that's fine. But if you're treating your body so harshly, your poor, beautiful body that you need to take care of, that's your machine walking through this world right now, they may not be able to sense or feel or notice these signs. But because those like you and I are very in tune to ourselves, we know, like you said, your body contracted. So you're gonna, and because you have your self-worth, you know to set boundaries, nice boundaries. It's not that you're being mean. And I'm sure you can experience or you understand this, but I used to be a major people pleaser, and
Oh,
I
yes.
was
Oh, yes.
terrible setting boundaries, and I would just feel so bad to say no, or like, oh shit, they're gonna be upset if I say no to this or that. And I just so wanted to follow my vision, my wants, my needs, and I would always put myself secondary or last. And until you start being strong, and it's not even being strong for a bad reason, you're being self worthy, self confident, living a life that is truly meant for you by listening to your body, saying no to certain things, setting boundaries. Some people you may not be able to get rid of in your life, because whether it's a family member or for whatever situation, that's fine. I understand you may not be able to say no. Then just limit the time. Fill that space in. Say, okay, yep, you'll do this, but limit it. Maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. But just don't start setting more space for what your body you want, because when you start living that way is things are gonna start, opportunities will start coming your way that's meant to be for you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned worth, and that's the name of this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'd like to come back to, something, your journey, and what was the turning point where you decided, like, I get to choose differently? How did that moment change your sense of worth for yourself?
Ooh, good question. I think, not I think, I know that from everything that I've been through, it took all of that for me. It took all of that because it was like source, universe was knew that I was a certain way, maybe stubborn, maybe whichever, to push me to my final rock bottom, I guess you could say, for me to be like, hell no, I don't want to stay here. I don't deserve this. When it was to that point where I'm like, I am worth way more. Like, I do not deserve this at all. And I know my story may not be as traumatic as others, but it was enough to be like, I know I don't deserve this. I deserve more. And when I said that, I just had this, and I guess you could say it was more so of like an awakening. Once I, not a full on awakening at one time where I said I deserve more, but it was little bits that were leading me to deeper questions, making me want to research more about what is this life really about. Like, I know there's something, I always knew there was something more out there, because I was like, this cannot just be life. This cannot. And so it was more so those little bits of pieces of the universe shifting me, breaking me to then know how terrible this level felt. But then once I started finding more inner peace, that's when I had my spiritual awakening to saying, okay, I need to find things that are, I need to start taking care of myself, more self-care, making myself, putting myself, as priority, and little things. And I started saying, praying more, speaking to God, source, whichever you want to call it, and started saying, okay. And I found certain, like what we're doing, podcasts and YouTube videos that just kind of kept encouraging me along the way. And then I became almost like a good obsession of just self-development, and I would, because remember I had two young kids as well, so I give all my energy and time to making sure that they're also good. I need to fill my cup as well to be able to provide for them. So then when I went through my spiritual healing and found energy healing, it was more of like a, oh my gosh, like this is what's exactly needed, to awaken myself, to make myself more, help guide me. I think there's something for everyone. Everybody's a little bit different. So whether there's so many communities out there, and for me, it was energy healing and connecting, meditating, and connecting with spirit, knowing that there's spirit guides and higher spirit there, that we have the power to do and have anything that we want. We just have to be in alignment with it, and we need to believe it in conviction, which is, there are certain things that I may still want, but it's not happening yet because I don't believe it with conviction yet. It's getting there, but we need to walk in our alignment for those things to then happen. So I believe it is all the universe knew and had to shove me in this position for me to wake up and realize. Otherwise, I'd be longer being stagnant, staying there with the wrong toxicity, and maybe my kids would be way more off than they are because I would have stayed. So it was more shaking me, pushing me to experience this low level to then say, I deserve more. And it just skyrocketed me faster into finding energy healing, self-worth with myself, and declaring that I know I deserve more, and experiencing for myself things that have happened because I believed in myself and I knew I deserved more, and I still deserve more. And we're all on our own walk, and more things are coming for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you were saying there about, I deserve more. And that wasn't necessarily like a moment in time that you can say I was there at that time and I was doing this at that day and place.
Right.
And I think I've wrestled with this in my spiritual journey as well around, like a lot of the big names out there will talk about their rock bottom being, sleeping in a car, being homeless, and really having no choice but to
Mm-hmm.
kind of, take ownership and agency of their life and create that. And I can remember speaking to one of my first coaches that I worked with saying, do I need to hit that rock bottom? Do I need to become bankrupt, be homeless, lose my job, all the
Right.
things? And she's like, no, drama sells, and that, that's probably why they are the big names that they are, because they've used that story. But rock bottom, and I put that in air quotes there for those who are on listening on the podcast, it looks different for everybody else. And I think, that coach that I was having that conversation with, she often speaks about, the fact that we either change from pain or we change from desire. So, and often it's the pain of being where we are and the pain of staying stuck where we are. And, for me, it was like thinking, 5 years from now, if I'm still doing the same thing, in the same way with the same people in the same place, is that what I really want? And it just made me feel really yucky. And I was like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want that. So that's what kind of shifted me. But it was also that bit of like the desire to move towards what my dreams and my goals are. So I think that's really helpful for the listeners to understand that rock bottom doesn't need to be sleeping on the streets or losing your job and having no money. It can be whatever it is for you, and that's your starting point, and you can then build on from there.
Exactly. And there's so much information out there now to help guide you and, push you in the right direction. There's a lot of energy tools out there, but everybody has their own unique story, that you are in exactly where you need to be right now in that perfect moment for a reason. If you don't know why right now, it's okay, but it's for a reason, that even if you're living life high and everything is going the right way, you may then get boom, an intervention from the universe. Why? Because that's most likely going to needed to shake you up to then, get you a little bit to build you stronger for
Yeah.
the next higher level that's to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guests I spoke with previously, we were talking about the fact that when you want to level up, whatever that is in life, you kind of need to go layer deeper in
Yes.
yourself, because you need that stronger foundation, because the taller the building, or the higher the tree, the taller the tree, the deeper the roots have to
Oh,
go. And
I
so
love that. Yes.
I use it, I quote it nearly every podcast interview I do, because it's so profound. And like,
Yes.
we'll often talk about, myself and my guests, about the fact that, we're sitting here going, oh, this is life is so easy. But every time that we're leveling up, we're doing that work, we're still doing that work. We're never going to get to that point. Well, we aim for it, but that complete and utter enlightenment, that probably Gandhi and, the big gurus out there have
Yeah.
achieved, we're on our path, and that's what we're aspiring to. But we're got a long way to go, and it's not easy. We're not sitting here saying this is easy work at all.
So right. So spot on. And that's just exactly so. And the roots of a tree, like you said, it grows in the darkness, and then the sun at the top, like as long as you have your vision. No, and I love to say also I'm sure you've heard of it, like a pineapple, for instance, you plant the seed, and guess what? That beautiful, delicious thing takes over a year to grow into fruition. And all it is planting the seed, working to letting the world, the universe do its magic. As long as you're rooted in yourself, then imagine what is going to happen. What can come. Your dreams can come true. You just need to believe in yourself, work on your energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that analogy of the plant and the pineapple is so true. And it kind of shows the bit about detaching from the outcome and surrendering as well, because the gardener who plants that doesn't keep going back every day going, is there a pineapple yet? He just knows, I've planted the seed, I'm doing all the things, I'm taking the aligned action of keeping it watered, making sure it's getting the sunlight, but the soil, the universe,
the
energy is doing its thing to grow it into this beautiful, delicious fruit.
You cannot touch it. You can't keep digging it up saying, are you there? Are you there? Are you there? No, just trust in yourself, work on yourself, know that something's brewing, it's happening, and you can have what you want. You just have to believe and work on yourself. Self-care.
I love that analogy. So switching lanes ever so slightly, joy is a big focus of this podcast. And so I always like to ask my guests, what's one way that you prioritize joy just in your everyday life? And how would you recommend to women or listeners who are struggling to do that for themselves? What tips would you give them?
I would give them, first of all, absolutely, that should be a priority, is self-care. To live life in better flow and in alignment, self-care has to be your priority. You need to fill your cup first full before you help others. And so for self-care, I am the queen at setting my do not disturb on my phone from pick a time, from evening until morning. I know some may be corporate workers, they're the 9-to-5 hustlers. That's totally fine. You need to be alert, but at your time, that you give, some are executives or leaders that you need to be available all the time, but you can still set yourself on do not disturb. That's just a tip that I always would like to give. 9:30 p.m. until 8 a.m. if you want. That way you can check it if you need to, but it's not, at their time. It's on your time that you're going to check. And in my life specifically, I do the do not disturb. I make sure that after my full day of busyness, which my schedule can change, and between children and between clients and between other contracts going on, that once I'm done all of that throughout the day, I'm meanwhile doing some somatic breaths throughout the day. Naturally, when you get more into studying energy healing, you learn how to breathe better. And when things get kind of tense or tough project is coming up, you learn to just do deep belly breaths, breathing no matter who's around, and different things like that. So breathing throughout the day is going to help a lot of release and keeping you centered. And then once you come home, do all the things that you need to do. I would say in the evening time before bed, get yourself a beautiful, delicious tea or a hot drink, non-caffeinated, and just make that time for just you. If you have children, for those hardworking professionals, parents out there, I have been there. I know how busy and hectic it can be. I know if you have to put children to bed, that's totally fine. Put them to bed, but you've got to also have them also on your schedule, or make a certain schedule that's okay. Maybe the kid doesn't go to bed by 9:30 p.m. That's fine. Make sure you just kind of set that routine, because you need to build a habit. It's hard, but you need to set your boundaries, set your routine, put your child to bed, and have at least 10 minutes for yourself. Find a good meditation. If you don't know how to pray, you don't know what to do, plenty on YouTube. I as well, I'm putting one up soon, kind of like a hypnosis before you go to bed, because I am huge about whatever's bothering you during the day, do not take that with you to bed. I don't want to wake up feeling crappy, and nobody should, because you don't need to. That's self-discipline, that whatever happened, you're going to shake it off. So let's do some tapping, you don't have time for a full workout, totally fine. But in my day, that's what I do. I come home from my hectic day, do some tapping, grounding, just quickly. Listen to your good music if you would like. And I do my hot tea in my little bed, and I listen, whether it's these AirPods or it's just on the phone, and just listen to a little meditation. And then I put the phone away because, you know, you need time away from your electronics too. That's all radio waves. And nobody's perfect. We shouldn't even be wearing these, but that's the reality right now. And that's what I use. So, and then to wake up in the morning and same thing, hustle and bustle, taking the kid to school. And I'm still doing that, by the way. My child's not quite driving yet, taking to school. But the very first thing when I wake up in the morning is automatically being grateful. Literally, before it would just be like, oh, you know, you had to make this a routine.
Yeah.
Now it's so natural. And when you make it a habit, you're going to see your life be much better. Thank you. Whether you want to say thank you to God, thank you, you just start saying thank you, say it plainly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you for everything I have. You're just going to say it natural. Off you go. Do what you need to do. Come back. And before you start getting ready for work, if you're in a rush or a pinch, take 5 minutes and just do another grounding meditation, or just sit by yourself and just say, I am so blessed. Thank you so much. Just be grateful. Like, that's all you need to do. If you want to go further, there's other ideas, but I'm just giving you a very simple thing to help your day kind of feel more balanced throughout the day. Yeah. So many ideas, but that's my routine. Just 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, breathing throughout the day.
Yeah. No, yeah, the breath work is something so quick and easy that you can do. You can do it at your desk if you're working, you can do it in the car if you're commuting. And gratitude, is always, again, because there's the saying that when you sit in gratitude, you cannot hold a negative thought in mind. And it's true. Whenever I feel myself going into a negative spiral, like, what am I grateful for right now? And I literally look around, like, even if it is my laptop that I'm working on, or, my fake sunflowers that sit beside my laptop, but it literally instantly, like, bursts me out of that negative spiral, and it's so good, so powerful.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
No, for sure. And then, so when that happens, just pause for a second and just realize and say, I am not going to let this ruin my day. I am not. And you will notice how quickly you just change, because we don't want to be porcupines all ruffled throughout the day. And a lot of people still are, for simple things that just ruin their day. And then because they want to control their outcome, you need to surrender and release. Because if you're trying to control so hard through the day, through the days, and through your life, it's because you're not living in alignment.
100%. And that's, just to summarize the conversation, really, is, when you're living in alignment, life flows. And it's when things feel stuck or hard or difficult, that's your sign that you're not in alignment, isn't it?
Yep. Yes, 100%. And you will feel it if you're sitting here today listening. And again, it's okay, because everybody's on their own time as far as their own healing. But I'm here to help guide anyone into gentle transformation. It is possible. Between coaching and using energy healing, I incorporate also nature as well into my coaching. But if somebody's sitting there right now and saying, oh, that's me, every day I'm so frustrated, and every day is just like you can just feel like this, and frustration, and just you get angry so easily and quickly, it's because something is not in alignment in your life, and we can work on that. We can fix that. But that is your sign, your answer. Stop trying to think too much. That is the answer right there, that something is unaligned, misaligned, disaligned, however you want to say it, in your life. And so you're just needing some work, and your life can flow so much better and more joyful if you just learn to just center yourself and live in that path.
100%. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing all your stories and your
Yeah.
insights. It's
Yes.
been a delight to have you on. And one thing that really stood out for me and my big takeaway from this is I deserve more. And I think once you realize that you are worthy of deserving more, that is like a key part of this healing journey for anybody. And you say, wherever you are on that journey, once you realize that, you then start taking the steps towards that life that you are deserving of. And
Yes.
I'm sure that my listeners will want to find out more about you and what you do. So tell us, where do you hang out? Where's the best place to find you and learn more about your work?
Yes. Well, I'm hanging out in Miami, Florida. And so if anyone is local and would like to follow me, I primarily use Instagram and I do post on there my monthly chakra sessions that I do in nature, between sunrise and also morning weekend meditations and grounding chakra healing. So they can totally join me there. That's and I'll give it to you so you can post
Yes, I'll
in
put that
your
in the
in your
links,
post.
yeah.
But it's Michi DeLucien, my name _333. That's Instagram, and my website. In case you guys want to just go ahead and schedule any kind of sessions, discovery call, whichever. Let's see where you're at. Just know that life can get better. That is my name, michidelucien.com.
Brilliant. And we'll add all the links to that in the show notes as well so that people can connect with you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you for this wonderful chat. And I always learn so much from my guests as well. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And yes, I same back to you. And just know that everybody, energy is huge. And when you change the way you look at things, the things around you begin to change. It is possible. You don't have to feel stuck. Let's get it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michi.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Your Worth Your Way. I know that you'll be walking away feeling inspired and ready to embrace your worth and prioritize your joy. If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review or share it with someone who needs a little bit of encouragement today. And don't forget to hit that follow button so you never miss another episode. And you can find out about me, the podcast, my guests, and what I do at debbielucas.me/links. And if you don't already, follow me on your favorite social media platforms. I'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the conversation over there. And until next time, remember that you are worthy exactly as you are.